kind of goes back to before my daughter Nikki was killed. In January of 2012, this girl, Lindsay Giannini, came to the place I work and asked my boss if we could help her make signs for her platform for the Miss New Jersey thing. And my boss said, sure, he'll do everything. And my boss said, you do it, Mike. He just threw it right off of me. He didn't want to do anything. So I met her father, and we started making these signs, which are actually, that's what it ended up being right there. During those first 4 months, we were making the signs, and I had actually never thought about distracted driving before, even though I had 2 daughters. But since I was talking to her, I decided that, man, it was pretty crazy and pretty dangerous, and stuff does happen. So I started preaching a little bit to my kids, sending them a video here and there, texting saying, hey, look at this, and you can't do this, and look what happened to this person, just like everybody else does. And that went on for 4 months. That was January 2012, so all of a sudden April 15th comes up, or actually it's a Saturday night now, it's April 14th, and my daughter, it was actually the first day I had breakfast with her in the longest time, which was amazing because her breakfast consists of a glass of chocolate milk with a spoon. That's how she ate her breakfast, and I told her, I said, you're a nut, man, that's not good, but she just loved her chocolate milk, and that's how she ate it. She went out to the mall that day, shopped with her friends, bought one of them real cool bracelets. It's don't really remember the name, but it's a nice one of them things. And,
Michael Kors?
Yeah, it wasn't the Michael Kors, but Pandora. That's it.
I love those.
Yeah. So she bought a Pandora bracelet. She came home. She was as happy as could be. That day was weird because my wife and my other daughter, Kristen, had just bought iPhones. Nikki had already had an iPhone. They had Droids, I guess, before, something different. So we spent at our house probably 4 hours that night before Nikki went out, with Nikki being the king of the iPhone because she already knew what was going on. She was hopping from my lap to her lap to her lap, back and forth, telling us little tricks, how to do this, laughing, playing with the dogs. We had a beautiful, beautiful night. It was one of the coolest nights we've had in years, which now I look back and think maybe if there is a God, that's what he gave us as a nice night before he took her from us. So that night, she went out, and just like a normal night, we text back and forth. When she gets there, she says here, and when she goes there, she says here. It got to be 11:30 at night. Yeah, because parents worry. We worry.
Every time I leave with my boyfriend, they're like, text me when you get here. I'm like, here, and they're like, okay.
Yeah, that's all they want to know is here, because you feel safe. Yeah, that's all it is, and that's all you need to know. So I was downstairs, and I'm playing a racing game and everything, and my wife starts yelling at me at 11:30 that Nikki's not answering. She's not answering her phone, and I'm worried. And I'm telling her, you're a nut. Don't even. It's okay. She's okay. The battery's dead. And then we heard the helicopter go over, and we know the sound of the helicopter when it's a rescue helicopter because it's always low, it's always fast. And she says, oh my God, now the helicopter's coming over. And I start yelling up there, man, will you knock it off? You're a nut. She's fine. There's nothing wrong. So I stopped what I was doing. I came upstairs, and she's panicking, and I'm like, man, don't worry. The battery's dead or whatever. And all of a sudden, the phone on the wall rang. And if you guys know,
Landlines don't ring unless it's a telemarketer.
Telemarketer or emergency, they don't ring. They just don't ring. Well, it's 11:15 on a Saturday night when we haven't heard from our daughter in 45 minutes. We know something's up, and we're panicking. So I get on the phone, and it's one of our neighbors saying that we think Nikki's been in an accident. And I was like, oh my God. And then as soon as I said that, then my wife and daughter started screaming. I'm like, no, it's okay. It's just an accident. Let me find out. I called the police, and the police kept me on the phone for probably 20 minutes. We come to find out the reason is when the police got to the accident, Nikki's pocketbook and phone were already taken from the accident scene. For some reason, we don't know why, but the driver of the car that Nikki was in, when the father got there for the police, he went and took her pocketbook and phone and threw it in the backseat of his car, rendering my daughter a John Doe. So when I called the police, they were not allowed to tell me by law if it was her because she had no ID. So there's some law out there. You can't just say, we know, even though they might have known it was her. So after 20 minutes, they said, listen, the accident's right around the corner. I shoot right around the corner. I got my construction truck with the top lights on to stop. The cop stops me, says, yo, buddy, what are you doing? And I said, I think my daughter might be in the accident. What's her name? Nikki Kaleni. Hold on. He gets on the phone. Keeps me there for like 20 minutes. And I'm like panicking, man, panicking. Finally, he says, listen, there's nobody there now. They've all been taken to Cooper, so go to Cooper.
That's my mom's hospital, just saying.
Really?
Yeah, my mom works there.
Does she?
Yeah, weekend she's a night shift nurse at the pediatric ICU.
Really? She might have been there that night.
Maybe it might have.
Yeah.
She doesn't take emergency care kids, so she doesn't work in the ER, but she works in the PICU.
She probably was there and heard about it, though, I bet.
She knows.
Yeah.
The accidents, like that bus accident with the 20-year-old guy
Yeah.
in the she's taking care of the
Oh,
daughter that
wow.
was ejected from the car.
Oh, it's crazy. But so anyway, we go there, and long story short, that we went in and nobody knew who was hurt, even though they knew who was hurt. The families didn't want to tell us. They came in and said, "Is your daughter muscular?" And we were like, "Yeah," because she rode horses. She was just a muscular kid. So they said, "Well, come with us." And they were like, "Well, we're trying to work. We think it's your daughter, but you can't go in yet." And 2:30 in the morning, the doctor comes out, and the doctor and two nurses come out crying. If a doctor and nurse come out crying, we know it's bad. So I had to go in and identify her. That was like the toughest thing I've ever done in my life, is to identify my daughter on a bed with a tube sticking out of her mouth, still warm but dead, all because of distracted driving. That's basically why we started it. But it didn't happen right then. It took 3 months of crying and going to her grave.
My name is Debbie Savigliano, and I'm from an organization called Bianca's Kids. And I'm here today to talk to you about a super important subject. Before you guys get on the road, you're learning driver's ed, obviously. And there is a serious issue that we have out there today. I'm sure you've all heard of it: distracted driving. You are as at risk as a distracted pedestrian as you are a distracted driver. Think lipstick, cell phones, whether you're talking, texting, adjusting your makeup in the mirror. These are all distractions. They take your eyes and mind off the road. Walk, text, walk with iPod ears, music in your ears. Don't be talking on the phone while you're driving. Don't be reaching for those CDs or your iPod or to connect the stuff in while you're driving, because these are all distractions. You reach into the back seat to get something out of your handbag or to mess with a kid that you're driving, that you have in the back seat of your car. Your eyes are off the road. Thoughts are a distraction when you're driving. You all know about texting and driving, right? You all heard it a million times. It takes your mind off the road. It takes your eyes off the road.
Hopefully prevent this from any other family or kid.